Hey all, and welcome back to the Curator's cut of Man of Medan. Once again, starring Rat, the most beautiful of all character models in the game.
Yeah, like, it is kind of a shame that for the Curator's cut we didn't get like a slightly different angle of the Rat running off, or maybe if he did a little jig beforehand or something, but nah. Like, ultimately he is still the star of the game, so I won't take it away from him.
How about a very tiny Conrad model acting like the Rat?
See, if I hadn't killed him, that might have happened, you know.
No, that's what I'm saying. It would be doubly scary. Like, the game should... This is just me projecting here what I want to see in the game. But the game should just, like, do random shit like that. I mean, it's all hallucinations anyway. Who gives a shit?
Well, no, that could just prove that reincarnation's a thing, and Conrad immediately came back as a rat.
Oh, God. I saw a whole squad of mini Conrads. They were eating Alex alive.
You can tell when we're on the tail end of a playthrough, guys.
Well, I think you can tell we're on the tail end of a playthrough where we're basically, playing the same game twice, and we've basically said most of what we want to say, and we're kind of just like, yeah, let's just shoot the shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun playthrough, don't get me wrong. Like, the story wasn't as good as I was, like, hoping for, maybe, but the game's not bad, as it were. It's just undercooked, I would say, is the worst thing I can say about it. Also, Fliss is still far too ahead. She's rounded the corner. She could have... Oh, God. It's a cop. It's a zombie cop!
Yeah, I feel like this section we did go through here as Fliss last time, but I imagine what would have happened is if I got Brad off the boat, then we would probably be playing as Brad here. But seeing as he's not in this particular scene, we're gone back to Fliss.
This fucking place is cursed.
Oh, there's like a zombie curse, or a pirate curse, or a Nazi curse, or a...
Ninja curse.
Thank you. Can you guys, like, try to add on some more? Why am I doing all the hard work here?
Because you're the only one who thinks it's funny.
I mean, I can start adding, slightly foreign versions of things, like you could say a yokai curse. It's basically a ghost curse, but little bits of difference going on there.
Yeah. Also, is it just me? Do you hear the word orangutan every time you hear orang Medan? I don't know.
Yes, I definitely do.
Just a little bit.
Alright, what else can pop out and go boo, haunted house?
Again, more lights.
Oh Christ. Oh Christ.
I like how friendly he is with Fliss. He has no reason to be whatsoever.
Yeah.
You die on a ship.
I think he's realised that they've bit off more than they can chew by going into this maybe haunted ship.
Well, they shouldn't have... First of all, they shouldn't have followed a map they just randomly found on someone else's ship. Second of all, this really olden times looking ship still afloat in the middle of the ocean. And do you think this is a good idea to go into... Sorry, I don't know where that sentence was going. The annotations were all over the place. Anywho, he's fine. We've got a secret. The pirates are just dumb. I don't really have, like, an explanation for their behaviour.
To be fair, in this particular timeline, they kind of had to go along wherever they ended up because Conrad stole their boat. That doesn't explain it for the last time, but for this one, they've at least got sort of an excuse.
I guess. No, you can't look at that now. Wait until I'm out the scene.
Yeah, you gotta give me a couple of minutes to get terrified for something else first.
Walking down the corridor. Imagine if, like, Brad just walked up right now. Like, walked through the dead-end hallway.
He just strolled in like nothing had ever happened.
Oh, Jesus. It's a wall. Why are boats constructed like this?
This is an accurate portrayal of me trying to find my way around the tight corridors where everything looks the same.
To be fair, you sort of, you bang on a couple of walls, you give it a little bit of blood paint. These are how you sort of navigate these things,
See, like, the banging on the wall part sounds fun enough, but not too sure about the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. You do have to use a lot of it to create, just the right consistency to cover the entire wall. I mean, it's bizarre.
Pro tip, use someone else's blood, otherwise you're probably not going to finish that paint job. Well, we have the flashlight now, and thus all the power.
Yeah, I can throw this thing pretty hard, you know.
Are we actually going to see that guy this time?
I don't know if that is something you can see, or if that's a little hope thing.
Let me have a look.
Well, because it looked like he was in the ballroom.
Possibly, yeah, that might... Actually, I think I know what that might be, because I tried to show it off in this run, but didn't get the opportunity to. But I know that there's an option where you can not have Fliss open the door, so she doesn't get the fresh air that lets her see the ballroom how it's meant to be.
Ah, okay.
I did try showing that in the last run as well, like where I was trying to have a look at that door at the back, but for some reason the prompts weren't properly working for me for whatever reason.
Okay, so I have found the list of premonitions, and you know, since we're here, we've seen quite a lot of this before. Do you want to sort of rush through with all the premonitions in the game?
Give us the fun ones.
Yeah, maybe ones we haven't seen.
Well, I'm not necessarily going to be able to fully remember them. So the first one you find is called High and Dry, which we are actually going to see the reality of a little bit later on, which is basically, you know, Brad not being found on the ship. Cut and Run is basically when Conrad gets shot by Olsen when he tries to escape using the speedboat.
Nice.
Devil in the Deep we have seen already, which is basically Julia clutching her hand to her heart, which is basically what happens if, you know, she dies at the end of the game.
Clutching her heart as she dies, yeah, thanks.
A horrible case of the bends, as it were.
Yeah. There's In the Offing, which we saw, I think, in the last part. It's the one of Junior smashing Alex's head into the door. Oh no, Olsen smashing Alex's head into the door. There's Cut of Your Jib, which is Brad getting stabbed by an unseen attacker. And I don't know whether we will see that one during this or not. But basically, if Fliss is unable to dispel the illusion of the ballroom inside of the cargo hold during the ritual, she'll see a Grim Reaper-like figure approaching her, and if she's picked up the knife, she can stab the apparition, and that kills Brad.
Oh, okay.
Then there's Close Quarters, which is the one we just saw with the hooded figure. So that one is related to the previous premonition, and basically that is the hooded figure that Fliss sees Brad as during the ritual.
Well, there you go then, mystery solved, and we can drop the Wikipedia reading now because we have ghosts to deal with.
Ah, well, we've got some more that we can go into later, so there's still plenty of time.
So was that actually Brad? Did he wake up and have his Cocoa Pops and join us on the Medan?
Yeah, it's gonna be his first, like, morning routine. Just wake up, eat your breakfast, jump onto a ghost ship. Yeah.
I did it twice this morning, darling.
Yeah, but because Brad's not here, we're seeing Fliss's weird little freakouts instead.
Oh no, we've come for you, we are zombies.
Just doing our zombie things, just another day.
Now, I have to say, actually, looking at this one, I'm not quite sure what the hallucination is on this one, because all the others, obviously, there is a very structured thing of what is being related, so other people become the apparitions and sort of try to get you to kill them. But considering there were that many apparitions in that one, I'm not quite sure what was causing that one.
They could have been the dead bodies that are laying around, because that's kind of what was going on when Brad was going through here in the theatrical cut, in that he was seeing just that standard dead body that was on the floor as different things each time.
True. Probably, is that, yeah.
It's the only thing I could think of, honestly, that makes sense.
What was that?
Yeah, or it was just a bit of an exaggeration just to make it scarier. One of the two.
Maybe both at the same time, Flame. Maybe both.
Yeah, although there were a few dead bodies around the ship, so it's always a possibility that it's just more of them.
Yeah. It's always a dead body. Whenever anything goes wrong, it's just a dead body.
This place.
Walking, doing nothing, just walking.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about things when it's just a corridor again.
We've been here before.
I mean, that is probably the reason why a lot of people probably still struggle with a number of, Final Fantasy 13. That was a really old reference.
That's an old joke, yeah. Although, to be fair, I was thinking it as well. But...
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be fair, I use that a lot as well. Final Fantasy 13 has basically gone into the public consciousness of gaming as Final Fantasy Corridor Simulator, which is partially fair and partially unfair to it as a game.
Yeah, I remember kind of enjoying what I played of it, to be fair.
I mean, it was never a bad game, and yay, more rats.
What is it?
But it did spend far too long in linear corridors for its own good. Like,
What does that mean?
80% of the game was linear corridors, and you just had one massive area at the end.
Yeah, but the massive area at the end where they actually let you off the load a bit, that's the worst part, in my opinion.
Yeah, which it's weird. They needed to think that game through a little bit more, but that is a very different experience to what we've got right here.
Man, these guys eat like kings. I want some home-fried potatoes.
To be fair, it's probably just the tiny little rations. They probably don't get that much to eat.
Well, to be fair, also, Flame, I could probably do with those tiny rations these days.
Well, maybe if you don't order pizza every few weeks, then you'll be fine.
Well.
Maybe it's not such
Well.
You're the one who tweets about fucking pizza whenever you're having one, so you gotta have that brought against you.
You do the same goddamn thing, Flame.
Not every time, I just have more pizza than I let on.
Crafty bastard. Anywho, we've seen rats, we've seen offal, we've shit-talked a really old game. What else is left to do in this part, other than go, at an obvious jump scare?
We gotta go through here.
We could always go, ooh, that's an obvious jump scare.
Awooga!
God, I hate everything.
See, that's usually my line.
Yeah, but you're the one being cringe this time, not me.
Well, you're not feeling your best, so I'm having to fill in the incel cringe quota, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I'm just here going, yeah, I've gone out of pretty much any useful, helpful, fun trivia that I could possibly find apart from the remaining premonitions, so...
Richie, look alright. There was nothing fun about the trivia you gave us in the last part.
Rude.
Oh. Although you say that, but that was like the legit interesting stuff, like the inspiration behind the fucking Medan and that.
I know, I just wanted an excuse to be passive-aggressive.
Well, that's just rude.
Well, Richie, I'll give you 2 tokens. You can use them whenever you like.
Okay. And what do these tokens get me?
They allow you to be passive-aggressive to be once, without any repercussions.
Okay. Lovely. That was cut of your jib.
Yeah, now just save the other ones just for when you need them.
That doesn't count as 1.
Yeah, that wasn't me being passive-aggressive. That was me just being factual.
There's something in here with us. Didn't you?
Oh, why couldn't there have been a little golem creature or something? Spice it up a bit.
I know. Could we not see the little kid again? That would have been a bit more exciting. Kids are always terrifying.
But that was Joe's hallucination, not any of the Monday hallucinations.
Don't fucking.
Well, we can have shared hallucinate. I don't even know how to
Hallucinations.
pronounce
That's what he said. You all heard him.
Hallucinations.
Oh, like.
Alright, we've been here before.
But having sort of a shared horror would have been an interesting prospect.
To be fair, in that game that will not be named lest I spoil it, everyone was pretty much having a shared hallucination, and a certain Smoothies on Twitter did not like that.
Not my scene, you know?
Yeah.
I will say that the whole shared freakout thing works in some situations, but
Alex.
what they're kind of going for here that amplifies how fucked it is is that everyone kind of came to meet up toward the end with a completely different story of what's getting at them, and that just makes it seem like it's a much bigger problem than it actually is.
That is true.
So here's this thing again, like, is it actual deformed person?
Oh, this?
Yeah, so we could never really make that out. There didn't seem to be an explanation for it later on either. So the only possibility, I guess, is that maybe someone got decapitated and their head was the only surviving part.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
Like, I was thinking for a bit, maybe they're just experiments from China that they shoved into the ship and, like, were taking home. But that doesn't make sense, because they have the US flag draped over them, which I'm pretty sure is for, like, military burials and so on.
Basically, yes.
Unless there was some kind of corruption going on that they were trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
But I feel like we might be giving the story a bit much credit.
Yeah, there was a small casket as well, which would explain seeing the child.
What's the matter?
So yes, we know what's coming.
Ah, it's a rat. Ah, it's a head.
Well, you know how we were sort of saying about the whole thing of potentially covering up, or whatever. One of the endings actually does sort of roll into that idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we might get to that a bit later, because there are a few different things that can potentially come up, because we just saw one ending last time. The endings are actually very varied.
Yes, I have spotted.
Yeah, we'll hold on to that for now.
That is fine, I will leave that one for later.
And I've got to love the coloration here of just that very small section of the like warm colouring, and then suddenly we're in the sickbay where it's cold colours again.
Yeah.
Like, are they doing that deliberately, or is it just like trying to amplify how cold the sickbay is going to be?
I would say it's probably a mixture of both, and also it does show that they have very much gone for the typical Hollywood action colour palette, which is basically turquoise and orange as your two opposite sides. Basically, look at the majority of films these days, you'll notice that sort of the turquoises and the oranges are stronger than most of the other colours in the films, and it's because sort of for action it makes everything pop a lot more. But it is nice if, you know, they go for slightly different colour palettes every now and again.
In that sense, though, you do need a consistent colour grading, because otherwise it does look a bit off. Like, just look at any YouTube vlogger who uses a 2-camera setup and see how fucked up their visuals are. That's what you want to avoid. But yeah, so if you're gonna do that kind of stunk, like colour variants, then the turquoise and orange are the most defined binary opposite colours.
Yes.
So that's why that will show up a lot more than other things.
This poor guy died on the operating table. I think it was just like, he was just due for appendicitis or something like that.
Yes, I'm pretty... Yeah, there we go. Appendicitis.
Well, what it looks like's happened there is that the doctor was having a hallucination. That's why he's over in the corner, like, just like solid, mouth open, terrified. And like, did the patient just never get woken up from the surgery then? Is that why he's left there like that?
Possibly. Like, died of massive infection and so on.
Yeah, something like that. Or like if he was put out for it because he's got the mask over him and then he just left the gas on.
Yeah, that would probably do it. Alright guys, that'll do it for this installment of The Man of Medan Curator's Cut. Please join us next time for the penultimate part of the entire playthrough, where there will be more spooks and it's hammer time, finally. See you then.